Hi, this is Rick with Vintage Sound Amps in Gulf Breeze, Florida. You're looking at the back of a Vintage 50 amplifier made by Vintage Sound Amps. This amplifier is equipped with bias points so that the user can adjust his own bias settings on the power tubes. This is a demonstration of how to use the bias points. The bias points are located on this amplifier on the back left-hand side of the chassis. You will note a black point labeled G for ground, a red point labeled number 1, and a red point labeled number 2. Number 1 corresponds to the first power tube, number 2 corresponds to the second power tube. In setting the bias on the amplifier, you will need a multimeter, and you will set your multimeter at DC millivolts. The black lead, or the common lead, goes into the ground position, and the red lead goes into the first position to read the plate current of the first amplifier tube. This tube is set at 26.2 to 26.3, and it's going to bounce around a little bit while we're sitting here, but very close to 26.2, 26.3. The second power tube on this amplifier is set at 26.4 to 26.5. In order for the amplifier to be considered a matched set of tubes, the tubes must be within 5 milliamps of each other. These are less than 0.5 apart, so they're a very good match for this amplifier. When adjusting the bias of a power tube in an amplifier, you have to locate the bias control pot. In this case, the bias control pot is towards the front of the amplifier between the power transformer and the output transformer, kind of between the power tubes themselves, but towards the front of the amp. If you put your hand in the amplifier, there's not anything here that's going to shock you or cause any problems. The tubes, however, will be hot, so be careful with that. You'll find the bias pot in the back of the amplifier. Once you find the bias pot, you can access that very easily with a screwdriver. Once you get a screwdriver into the slot, you'll be able to feel it pop in place. And once it does that, if you look at the bias meter, the multimeter, you'll see that as I go clockwise, that the bias of these power tubes goes up. I'm up around 30 milliamps right now on this one. And as I go counterclockwise, I can bring it down to the 24, 23, 22, down around 21, and it would go further if I continue to turn that. This amp needs to be biased around 26.5. I noticed when we were checking these two tubes that the first tube was a little bit lower in setting than the second tube, and I'm on the second tube now, so I'm going to set the second tube about 26.7, 26.8, and then I'm going to recheck the first tube to see if I'm close to 26.5, and if I am, then I'm through biasing the amplifier. Right at 26.5, 26.6, so this amplifier is considered biased. Put the amp on standby to let everything cool down, and I'm finished bias adjusting the power tubes of my amplifier.